So it looks like a camera. Okay. All right. You added a lot of questions, so we'll take them one by one. We'll start with some of the questions on the community page and slowly go on, if you don't mind. Okay. Happy New Year and good morning, everyone. Welcome to this 2017's first Hindi and English hangout from us at Hyderabad. All right. Thanks, Arjun. Okay, we'll start with. We have a bunch of questions on different areas. One on the community page, some on the collections page, and some live ones. We'll start with the first question from Arjun. Many times Google said AdSense ads do not affect ranking, but in one patent Google said if page A and page B have similar content, then page A requires less data to load information, then page A gets higher score than page B. So you'd think AdSense slightly affects in ranking as per speed algorithm, or Google simply avoids block because it is blocked by robots.txt. So one thing regarding page speed I want to say is so it will affect sites that are slow. If your site is super fast and some other sites are like just fast, it won't really be a big difference between those sites. The effect will be for if your site is very slow, then page speed will affect your ranking. But if two sites are super fast and it's just like 0.1 nanosecond difference or something, then it doesn't really matter between both of those sites. Okay, we'll take a question from. By the way, guys, we see a lot of people are watching, so if you can join the hangout, that'd be pretty swell too. Okay, have a question from Ramesh Singh. Will limiting link count on pages, especially from navigational links, benefit other links present on pages to pass link juice? I'm not sure, if you mean, if you have only 5 links on one page, that means, those 5 will get a lot more, page rank instead of, if you have 20 links. I honestly don't think that's the case. So, sorry. If it doesn't, it's not about, how many links you have on one page. It's about if those links are taking you to relevant sources, and if your page itself is authoritative, based on that, the landing page, whichever it is, and based on the other different links they get, we'll calculate a link score. But just because you have 5 links, if you cut down 2 links, doesn't mean more ranking factors will go into those 3 links. We have a question from Avinash. I have following questions about a client. Client agrees that important pages have to be linked from homepage, but he won't use the menu bar, instead uses footer links and second fold of page. Is there a difference between having links in menu bar and having links in the second fold of content from homepage? From Google's perspective, it's not very it's not much different. We'll crawl all links on your page, but from a user's perspective, that it's not really search related. But think about it, if those links are important and if they're shoved down at the bottom, then it's problematic for many users, right? So look at it from that perspective. Page. Sorry, we got muted. From Google's side, we'll crawl all links on your page, so it's not really an issue for us. Okay. We have a question from Josh. Is relevance and quality the same terms? For example, I have a page ranking #1 and receives a lot of search traffic for a long time. Is it relevant and quality for Google at the same time? Or the fact that it's ranking #1 doesn't mean it's also high quality content at the same time? It could mean both. Relevance and a site could be both relevant and high quality content, but it could also be relevance is more for in perspective of a query. So a page which is relevant for Salman Khan biography may not be very relevant for just a movie on Salman Khan did. So if that makes sense. So I mean, like better international example would be like if you're searching for the information about a car, which you have like quality content about a particular car on your page. But if someone's searching for second-hand prices of that car, which you do not have on your page, even though you talk about the car a lot, so there your content may not be relevant even if it's high quality. So it depends on the query. Okay, take another question from Arjun. I want to display my site on specific days, Christmas only, for example, by using no index tag on rest of the days. So Google will consider it is normal to show up on first page of specific day, because in one of the Google patents, Google uses historical rank information as well to detect spam. So by using no index tag in most of the days are generally safe. I honestly wouldn't recommend that, because when you say no index, we generally remove that document from our index. So any signals or any any links or anything for that document, we have to recrawl the document again once you put it back in the index. So it can take some time for it to get back to the top of rankings. Maybe, of course, if it's very relevant and it has like really good content, sometimes it could come up quickly. But still, I wouldn't recommend like no indexing and putting it on just one day. Arjun, if you have any follow-up questions, you can just add to the chat. You have another question? We'll take another question from Google Plus. We have a question from Mihal. He says, would you say that in an ideal situation, every content on the website that is indexed and receives search traffic should make the users want to come back to the site plus recommend it to others or link to it? So I'd say every content on the website that's indexed should be like good quality content, and it should like serve the purpose. Like if you're serving content on a particular topic, as long as it's like good and relevant for that particular topic, users will come back because they'll expect similar quality content from your website. So that part I got it. But if you mean like if in every content you should also make sure you recommend it to others and link to it, if you mean adding social buttons and signals by that, then that's always a good practice, but it doesn't really affect ranking.
So Mihal, as I understood your question, you're basically asking if every piece of content that you have on your website should be such that when users come to your website, they are compelled to recommend it to others and link to it on their own blogs and websites. So basically, as Ashish mentioned, look at it from this perspective, that it should be of high quality and should serve the purpose. Meaning when somebody is landing on your page looking for some information, if your page is giving that information to them in the manner that it should be, then I think that's the whole point. So I mean, it may depend on how compelling it would be for sharing. And I mean, some users may have like just a one-time requirement of such type of content. So they may not really come back to your site again, but some users may come back to your site for different types of content and stuff like that. So the main question here is what kind of experience you give when the user is on your site. So if you can focus on that, then I think that will be great.
Okay. Take another question from Google Plus. Sorry, just give us a second. We have a question from David. Do you track if a specific piece of content was the answer to user's query, like the result was the last or only click user made for a specific query? So this page must be relevant, really relevant for the topic. Definitely, like we like, looking at the content that was served for a particular user, the content that a user is looking at, it's very, very important. Like, in fact, we consistently keep saying content is like the number one thing that you should focus on. So like, as long as the content is relevant, that is definitely a very good ranking signal for you. So like, if your content is relevant and if it's serving for that particular queries, like serving relevant content for your your targeted queries, then like there's nothing else better. No question from. There are so many ranking algorithms to score any particular document, so all score value are combined into one to rank the final document, and how often the document score changes with time. You store PR value for 1 month and then recalculate the same value based on what new links Google discovers it while crawling. So is it true for other metrics like freshness score, page speed score? Does Google change the document score value? So is the document score instantly changing after every crawl? So it may not change after every crawl, but we make tons of changes to our algorithms every year. So I think every year we have almost like 500 changes to algorithms, or like even more. So definitely, like, scores will change. There will definitely be some fluctuation in ranking. It is like the part of the organic ranking process. So yeah, like, but there's no specific timeline that, okay, for every 2 crawls it will change once or anything like that. It depends.
So whenever we crawl your pages, if we find new information about your page, or if you find more links or less links, I mean, these kind of things may affect how we store your page. What kind of information we are seeing at that moment in time. But again, while ranking, there are more than 200 factors that we consider to determine if your page should be ranked for a particular query for a particular user. Stuff like that.
Yeah, but like you mentioned, like page speed score. So if your site was had like a really slow speeds previously, but now it's you improved it and it's ranking like it's loading pretty quickly, then that will definitely affect your like score. So now, like, you'll definitely not have that speed penalty kind of thing. Take another question from the community. So there doesn't seem to be any questions in the like collections page and community page. Let me look at the YouTube live. Okay, I have one question from the live section from Ravi Ahuja. If someone is copying my content and I'm getting linked to my site from that copied content, will it be considered as low quality or spammy links?
So basically, when you're getting links from other websites, we also look at the quality of that page that is linking to you. So if the page that is linking to you is of high quality by itself, then it may be seen differently. It may be seen as a high quality link. And if that page is not of great quality, then it may not be seen as a high quality link. So it's as simple as that.
I think, yeah, another question. How to make dynamic search results page to index? I'm not sure like what you mean by that, but like you can check if your pages are being indexed using fetches Google in Search Console. Generally, there's like almost all pages are indexed, even if you have like JavaScript or anything. It's not really an issue. So just check using fetches Google to see if your page can be indexed or not. And if it can't, like if you're getting an error, then like you'll get instructions to fix that error. So like once you do that, you should be able to.
Yeah, just check your pages if they're indexed as they should be indexed. If not, then probably you can post on our Google Webmaster forum that we have, and people can help you with specific things.
So there's a question like, is the 200 ranking score criteria published? So 200, it's not a score. It's sort of like just the number of signals that we use to rank a particular page, and it's not a definite number. Like, it is more than 200. I honestly don't know what the exact number is. Hey, Biraj, you can join the Hangout. Like, we posted a link on our Google Plus community page and on the actual collections page. So I can just post it here too. 1 second. Okay, we'll take another question from Arjun. In recent Hangout, you said Google doesn't have geo-based crawler, but they can crawl from almost any IP. So what if first time Googlebot comes from US and next time it comes from Indian IP and sees different web pages? Do you think Google will consider that as cloaking? Okay, first answer is yes. So we do not want to see different. We do not want to see different content for different crawlers. So the only way you can, like, only good way you can implement is you can do that using the vary header for mobile pages. But for general content, I wouldn't recommend you guys to like serve different content on different IPs. You can what you can do is you can actually set up internationalization. So you have like, and you can let Google know that this is the page for this locale and this is the page for this particular locale. If that makes sense.
So in a scenario where you may have a page, for example, the home page, which is not catering to a particular country or a language, for example, it is a generic page from where you redirect your users to their destination pages. So when a user lands on your home page from India, you may redirect them to Indian pages, your Indian version of your website. And if somebody is landing from US, then you would redirect them to US version of your website. So there is something called X default attack that you can use to tell Google basically that this page is not by itself serving any particular locale, but it's generally being used as a global page to redirect users to their destination pages.
Next part of the question is, another thing is that if my hreflang is set to Germany, then will Googlebot come from Germany for better crawling? Because I may redirect US Googlebot to another web page. It's really interesting to know how Google comes.
So basically, Google may not come from different, posing as coming from different countries and stuff. It may come from US, for example. And when you're serving the pages, as I mentioned, if you're serving different content to different countries, then it is best to have like different versions of your pages, and then to have a common page which you can use basically for users to redirect to those pages. So having different URLs for your different language pages is the best thing to do here, so that Google knows you have different versions of this page, and then also interlinking your pages using the hreflang tags, which I think you're doing. Will also tell Google that, okay, there are multiple versions of this page available in these languages, and Google is able to crawl those pages as well and index them.
We have a question from Suresh. How do I target multiple countries in Search Console? So you can simply add, like, have a separate URL or a subdomain for different country, like, or you can even have a separate top level domain. So like you can have google.co.in for India and like co.uk for UK, and like just make sure you verify both of those separately in Search Console. And even for a single site, you can still have like something like google.com/ENGB for UK, and then google.com/ENAU for Australia. So, and you can verify those two URLs separately in. we can target them to like specific countries. As long as you have set up the hreflang tags properly and set up the canonicals properly, like you shouldn't find see any. Okay, Biraj asks, I want to set up my site to Webmasters. Can you send me any links? So google.com/webmasters is our webmaster site. I can just type it down here. So this has all the information you need to sign up to search consoles. Let me just quickly take a look at chat. So Ravi asks, should I disavow links that are coming from copied content? It's up to you, Ravi. So sometimes, copied content isn't necessarily bad. So they may copy some part of your content and they may actually, write a review or some, they may talk about the content that you're providing and then attribute it to you. So that's not necessarily bad. So it depends. Look at where the link is coming from. So in some cases, some people just to try and harm you with bad links, they can spam your website with many bad links coming from very cheap domains. So you just download the link report and take a look at what kind of links you're getting, and if you're seeing very links from very bad sources, then you can disavow those links.
Generally, it is not something to be worried too much about, disavowing your links, unless you think there are too many bad links coming to you and you're not comfortable having them, then you can use the disavow tool to disavow them.
So we have a question from Shamim. It asks how Googlebot crawls JavaScript. So we are able to render JavaScript now pretty well. I mean, I think as long as it's not too heavy and it doesn't slow it down, we're able to render JavaScript pretty well. So we can crawl JavaScript.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. If you have any live questions, go ahead.
Yeah. We are planning to set up Hindi content. We already run a English website. So to have this Hindi content, should we have it on a subdomain like xyz.com/xyz, or should we have xyz.com/category/Hindi? What is the best approach to go for?
So are you just going to add Hindi articles on your website, or are you going to have for every English article their respective Hindi translated content?
For every Hindi English article, we're gonna translate it in Hindi. That's what we are planning to do.
Okay, I'd recommend maybe if it's example.com and you have example.com/how to buy a car, that's an article, then I'd say make sure maybe have something like a subdomain like hi.example.com / how to buy a car, car kaise kharidna hai, something like that, and have your content on that. That is one way. Or you can also have a if you it's easier to track and maintain if you also can have a different site, something like example.com is for English and example.co.in is for Hindi. It's up to you. You can use either subdomains or you can use a different TLD, or you can, like you mentioned, you can use a separate directory also. So example.com/how to buy a car is the English one, and example.com/hi/how to buy a car is for Hindi. So anything is fine. So it's you have multiple options. You just have to see how many resources you can devote to this. If you can set up sitemaps and hreflangs and everything properly, so that if it's between different domains, it's easier to maintain, but it's more expensive. But if it is on the same domain and just a different directory, it's not as expensive, but to maintain and to track, it's probably much harder. So you just look at the trade-offs and decide.
Yes. So Tarun, from the ranking perspective, it is not going to make any difference whether you have it on a subdomain or a subdirectory. But separating different language content on different subdomains or subdirectories, or maybe even on separate domains, is what is recommended basically. This is also good for your users and good for maintaining your content well as well, and probably tracking as well. So all of these things become easier.
Thanks. I have one more quick question. People are usually, rather than typing on Hindi, people are typing it in English, you know. So would you recommend me to go for that English kind of language, or would you advise me to stick with the proper Hindi language?
So Google, we've gotten pretty good at transliterating and understanding Hindi content. So in fact, like we've launched tab searches in some regions, like I think in some states, I'm not sure the exact states, but we've launched tab searches. So if you type in English Shah Rukh Khan Ke Gaane, like Kengane, Google in another tab, it will translate that query into proper Hindi script, and you'll see Hindi results. So we are pretty good at understanding the query in terms of like Hindi script. So even if you have proper Hindi content on your website, like if the query is in English, we'll still be able to understand and serve your content for that particular page.
One thing important to note, Tarun, is to understand who your users are and to see what they prefer. So if you think your users are in script, not in Hindi script, then you may want to provide your content in transliterated form. But if you know that your users are comfortable reading Hindi, but they are not able to type in Hindi, then you may provide your content in Hindi. And then we have basically launched this tab search in the Hindi belt in the middle northern part of India, where Hindi is the primary language of the states. So in those regions, the user will be able to see results in both English and Hindi. When we see that the intent of that query is basically Hindi, for Hindi content, then we will serve them Hindi results and English results, both of them, and users can choose between them, whatever they like.
We have a question
Thank you so much.
We have a question from Cricket Cup. I'm seeing too much difference in mobile and desktop ranking. I'm ranking well in mobile, but not even in the top 100 in desktop. What is the reason behind that? So again, unless we actually look at the URL, we'll not know what's the specific reason behind, why something is ranking well and not ranking. And so, maybe put that question in the community or the forum, and maybe we can take it. We have a question from Yogesh. How do I check ranking for AMP enabled pages in Google? So I'm assuming you mean if there's say a Guardian article and it's AMP enabled and it's coming in the AMP carousel, you also want to know its ranking position in blue links, right? Is that what you mean? Yogesh? Okay, just type in the chat if this problem is. So we have a question from Ketan Jani. Does DNS change affect ranking or not? So it depends. If you have if your site is down, I mean the actual DNS change doesn't affect ranking, but if your site goes down because of that, and if it goes down for a very, very long period of time, then it could affect it. But if it's for a short period of time, we understand that some sites can have some issues, so generally doesn't have any issues.
So how this works is basically when you change DNS, nothing is going to change from the ranking perspective. But if that change is hindering our crawling or in indexing, then primarily we won't have data about your website, so we may not be able to serve your pages in the search results. Otherwise, from the purely ranking perspective, there is nothing going to be affected.
Even then, if it's for a short period of time, it's generally fine.
Yeah.
We have a question from Kristen. I'm in America and I help manage a Facebook business page for a friend in India. Could you please speak about the best way I could help my friend with getting his business page link index? So I'm assuming you're talking about Facebook pages. So Facebook pages are somewhat hard to index properly for us. We cannot really, it depends on how Facebook allows us to crawl their web pages. But if you you can create a separate like instead of Facebook, maybe like help with him create an actual web page, because it's far easier to for us to index actual web pages. Sorry, not. I mean, Facebook is also a web page, but like a regular web page with like proper links and so on, and like link the Facebook business page there. Maybe that would be easier.
Yeah, so Christian, basically, when you're using third-party platforms, it depends a lot on them, how they allow us to crawl their pages. So it is heavily dependent on that factor, basically. So what Ashish is recommending is if you can provide an alternative source of that content in formats that are Google crawlable friendly, like search engine friendly, basically, where we are able to crawl them easily, then that could be one of the options that you could use to provide your content to search engines.
Okay. So we have a question from Nimesh Dio. How do I rank locally for my business on first page of Google? So like, I mean, if it's a general ranking question, I'd say like, follow all our guidelines so that, your content is pretty relevant. But apart from that, you can also leverage our Google My Business platform to make sure you have a local listing for your website. So if you do, and like, as long as it's relevant, it will show up in the local listings section of the search page.
I have one more question. Can I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
We get lots of user comments. So is it mandatory to allow their date and time on the comments? Like we get like almost 100+ comments on certain news articles and all. So should we allow the date and time? Will it hamper the Google indexing or whatever it is like? As in like
You
the
mean
quality of
when
content?
people are commenting, do
Yeah,
you mean, yeah, should you also show the date and time of those comments on your pages?
correct, right.
Yeah, and your question is basically, is that going to hinder in our crawling process?
As in like, will it have impact on the quality of the crawling process or something like if uh, like the freshness of the content or something like? Will it have any problem with that?
Not really, Tarun. So basically, I mean, comments, when you provide that information for comments, it will be seen like that. And I'm assuming when it is news articles or whatever you have on your website of that sort, you also have a date of when the content is published, or maybe the date of when it is being updated, right? So those dates will be considered for your primary content. And these dates are basically associated with comments. So they are not basically going to hinder our crawling process.
Okay.
I have a question from Suresh. Do I need to add sitemaps and robots.txt files for different countries? So as long as you verify all the different different subdomains which you have like for different countries or like different TLDs, one sitemap is good enough. But when you're saying, do I need to add sitemaps? I'd recommend adding sitemaps, because handling href lines in sitemaps is far easier than actually doing it manually for each page. So sitemaps help you manage like content in different countries, and help Google understand like which content is which is the canonical for English, and which is the canonical for like some other different languages or so. Okay, I have a question from Arjun. My sites, English content sites, appear in co.in, but they do not appear when I select India as my country from advanced search tool. It means Google have not distributed their cloud data to India's data center. When I publish new blog post, then I see my title and meta description is only indexed by Google in the first day, and inside the blog post is not appearing, for example, first paragraph. Even which, sorry, even when I try with site operator, like my first paragraph content and my site domain name, it means Google crawls only half page, or they index only half page. So can you post an example of this happening? I mean, I'm not sure, just listening to your question.
So Arjun, if you mean
Okay.
Sorry, did he post?
No, he's saying it's indexed now, but previously it was not indexed in the first day. So I'm not sure, like, what happened just from listening to your question. Sorry. Maybe, like, if you see this happening again, like, if you can document it and submit it, maybe it'd be pretty good. Okay. We have a question from Cricket Cup. I got penalty and recovered it successfully, but after that, ranking is not as before. Does Google won't rank site having penalty in past? Does past penalty have any effect? Sai, that's a very good answer for it.
No, so basically, it is not going to affect you in any way, your previous penalty. However, depending on what kind of manual action was taken on your website, uh, and what changed on your website as a result of that may, of course, affect how you appear in the search. So, for example, if you have had, for example, a lot of pages that were not really great, or maybe you had a lot of backlinks which were basically not genuine or organic. And
sorry, we were muted there for some reason.
Oops. Okay, so yeah, so apparently we were muted. So yeah, I was basically okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was basically telling that it depends on why the manual action was taken on your website. So there could have been some things that were not really compliant with our quality guidelines, and those things may have also affected your ranking positively. Now, when those factors are now removed, your ranking may be adjusted to where it is actually supposed to be. So you may see some fall in your ranking there and traffic there. And I think this was the position, and this was the traffic your content basically deserved in the first place. So it is adjusted like that now. So you may not see what you have been seeing previously. However, if you continue to focus on providing great quality content and building your website further, then I think accordingly you should see the increase.
Okay. We'll move on to, we have a question from Swati. What is structured data and SEO, and should we have to create structured data for every page to increase ranking? Okay, first, structured data is nothing but, so for like specific components of your page, you sort of like add tags that tell search engines like Google that, okay, for an events page, this is the title of the event, this is the time that the event is happening, this is the, like, participants of that event, this is when it will close, and so on. So this information is sort of like a benefit or an add-on to your search snippet. So instead of simply like showing a snippet that talks about the event, we'll provide more useful and actionable information for users in search. So it's like, instead of, so let's say if you're making a recipe for payasam, and you, instead of simply showing a snippet that directly pulls a paragraph or some content from your page, now we show that like this snippet, sorry, this recipe has, it takes 4 hours to, like, make the dish. It has like so and so ingredients, and this particular like recipe has some ratings that your users can view, and so on. So that information is, for some users looking at the search result, that information could be more useful, and they could be, they could tend to click on that link rather than a simple snippet link. So indirectly it will help you, but there is no direct ranking benefit. So just look at our structured data help center article and see if the content on your website falls into the types of structured data schema that's being supported right now. And if it is, you can maybe implement structured data and see, keep testing to and iterate to see what kind of changes you're seeing on your search result pages. you're seeing more clicks. We have a question from Rakibur. He's asking in Hindi, how do I open official Facebook new page? Okay, we cannot, we don't really talk much about Facebook because, we clearly work at Google and we can speak about Google related stuff. We are not experts on Facebook, but maybe you can say.
Yeah, so I mean, this is more of a question for folks at Facebook, and frankly, I don't know how you do stuff at Facebook, so we may not be able to guide you.
Yeah, I mean, it's, like as far as it's pretty simple to create a page on Facebook, but
yeah, I think you can take this question to them, and I'm sure they will have some help center document that can tell you the process, or maybe somebody who can guide you.
We have a question from VPN Reviews. I have a page with 5,000 words content. What is the best way? Should I use the 1,500 words in page and then give an option to download the full content by PDF? Or so okay, if you feel if you have 5,000 words content on a page and it won't be indexed properly or something, then you don't need to worry. Like, just leave all the content on your page. Just maybe structure it well so that it's easy to read in the eyes of users. Like, look at it from a user's perspective. Like, if he looks at that content, if it's all just in a single blurb, then maybe it's hard for him to go through it. But if it's separated into nice little paragraphs and highlighting some specific content or something like that, then like, just from a user's perspective, look at it. But from Google side, there should be no problem with us indexing your content.
One thing you can also do, as Ashish rightly mentioned, I mean, I don't think we would have any problem crawling or indexing like big articles on your website. But the speed of the page may get affected, or some other factors like the usability, as Ashish mentioned, may get affected. One other thing you can also do is divide that content into multiple pages and then indicate to Google that, okay, this is one article divided into several pages. So you can use the link rel tags to do that, the previous and the next tags. So from Google side, we should be able to crawl it and reflect it in the searches accordingly. But from the user's perspective, see what is best for you. I mean, do they like to download your content and read, or do they want to read your content online itself? And based on that, you can see whatever fits best.
Okay. I have a question from Nimesh. I have a brand new site. If I blog regularly and write high quality content 2 to 3 times weekly, can I get my blog on Google? How much time will it take? I mean, this is like really subjective. So it depends on what other content is there, how relevant that particular content is to a single query. I mean, like, everybody wants to get their content on the top and like get people to watch it, right? So just look at, like, for that, if you're like maybe selling a shirt on your web page with everything e-commerce related, but like, I'm sure there are tons of people who think right now there are like many of these e-commerce websites, right? Amazon, Flipkart, so on. So maybe your site may not get ranked for that particular page. But on the other hand, if you go for something like very specific, like that's a shirt created by you and it's not present on other other e-commerce platforms and so on, then like there's a very good chance that you rank on top, because that's what user is searching for. Like, say for a specific comic book character, there are no shirts in India, something like that.
So for a new site, I think from Google search perspective, you need to make sure that we are able to crawl your pages and index your pages. Make sure that your pages are getting into Google search, and you can do this. And you can check if everything is right by signing up for Search Console and then seeing if we are showing you any errors or anything like that. If you're not showing you any errors and everything looks fine, then it's great. Otherwise, whatever errors you see, if you can fix those. So at this point in time, if you can make sure that we are crawling your website, indexing your website, and continue to provide a good quality content to your users, and also along with that, building a community around your content using social media and other things, engaging with your audience, I think that will help you in the long term.
Yeah, and initially I'd say like ads help also. Like if you can advertise your content, I'm sure there are like tons of Google generally gives some free. I'm not an expert, so I'm not sure, but like generally ads also help. Ronak, so if you have a question, you can ask directly here or. So Arjun Singh asked, does Google use latency and time to first byte and speed ranking algorithm? So Arjun, generally for page speed, we look at how quickly the page is loading in general. So like, it's more of, we look at if a page is taking too long to load rather than how, how fast it's happening. And it's also about, like say on mobile, we'd like the user to see the content as quick as possible. It's more from like say above the fold content on a mobile device. If that content is appearing in under a second, then that's pretty good. Does that make sense?
So talking about latency, I think this may affect your, basically not your ranking, but your crawling and indexing. So when Googlebot comes to crawl your pages, if your pages are not loading, or if they're very, very slow, so for example, we may not be able to crawl or index them, right? So it may be affected like that.
It means if site A loads in 2 seconds and site B loads in 3 seconds, get same value? Not necessarily. So I don't know the exact numbers, but generally, if I think under a second, if a website loads under like 5-6 websites load under a second, then there shouldn't be much difference between them. In like it's negligible in terms of ranking from page speed.
So it's also not only about the speed, right? So it's also about like the relevance of your content to that user for that query and a lot of things. So if the site is more relevant to a user than another site, but this site which is more relevant is a little bit slower than the other site, we may still show the more relevant site to that user.
Also, like one thing, like Syed said, so page speed is like, it's good until a certain point. Like if like 5-6 websites are all very, very quick, then it does. Like the reason for us actually adding a page speed like ranking thing is so that people are encouraged to make sure their sites load quickly. In fact, there are a lot of research. There's a lot of research that says if a page takes more than 7 seconds to load, people abandon, like 65% of the people abandon a particular website. So it's more on like providing a good user experience. So whenever a person clicks a search result on Google, they get that page loads quickly. That page loads quickly, but the problem is in case someone's serving like say he wrote a big article on a huge issue that's happening in a particular country or something, and that content is mostly present only on that particular article, then even if that page takes a lot of time to load, we'll still serve that page at the top, because that's where that's what the user is searching for. That's the content he wants. But if it's between like 3 different sites that have about the same content, then like page speed can make a difference. Okay. I have a question from Shamim Adikant. Is it possible to customize site links on Google search results? How do site links work? So not really. I mean, we used to have an option to demote a site link that you didn't like, but we've removed that recently because we've noticed that not many people are using it. So there's not really much option to customize site links, but Google does it automatically for you based on like how users are like how we crawl your website and what are the other important pages that show up for your website.
Hi, Ashish.
Yeah, sorry, we'll just take this one question from Sanjit and then.
Yeah.
Sanjit asks, I have seen some sites have added keywords in footers with links on it. Does it help in any manner for SEO? No, it depends. So if the keywords with, if they're very relevant to that particular website, if that footer links are generally links that show up on almost all pages of your website, right? So if those links are like useful to users, then they definitely help. But if they're just there to sort of like spam Google and make sure those pages rank for those keywords, then it doesn't really help. So it depends upon the intent and like general quality and relevance of those particular links. Okay, Neeraj, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Regarding site links, I just wanted to ask actually. So for brand name, when Google has decided that automated site link will turn up. So in such case, what happens is some pages that we don't want user to come but to go, those pages are ranking or are coming up in a brand name search query, and the pages that we want to show the users, they are not appearing. And because we don't have anything to manage this kind of thing in search console, the traffic is going to different pages. In such case, what would you recommend?
Can you
So Neeraj, if I understood your question correctly, you're basically saying there are multiple pages on your website, of course, and then there are some pages you want targeted for certain queries. And what you're seeing is when those queries are typed in by your users, the pages you have built for those queries are not ranking. Instead, some other pages from your website are ranking for those queries. Is that correct?
Yes, Sayyed, correct. In fact, I am not talking about some queries. I am only talking about brand name. If somebody is searching for my brand name, my cancellation kind of pages are appearing as site links. Cancel ticket,
Okay.
talk to customer care. While I want my product pages to come for brand name search queries. So in
So,
such case, I have interlinked those pages. Still, Google is not picking up those pages.
okay. Okay. So Neeraj, I'm not sure. I mean, probably we may have to look at your website and, understand how your website is structured and stuff like that. But a couple of things that Google considers when picking up site links is it looks at like what are the pages that are linked from, for example, your homepage. Because that may represent the importance of those pages, and from the main navigation of your page. And if there are any duplication of keywords on your page linking to multiple pages, these are some of the guidelines that we have on Help Center as well to make your site structure more search engine friendly, basically. Right. So if you can just go back and check your pages against these guidelines that we have in structuring your website, then that may help, to help Google in understanding. And if you make adjustment accordingly, then it may help Google understand the prominent pages as being prominent. So I mean, for example, pages linked from footer may be treated differently from pages that are linked from the main navigation on your homepage, for example, right? And if you're using the same keyword to link to two different pages, then Google may get confused as to like what exactly is more relevant for this type of a word or a query or whatever. So just look at those guidelines and try to identify if there is any issue in your architecture of your website. And you can also seek help from the Webmaster forum that we have. If you can post specific pages, then people may be able to point out specific things that you can tweak.
And you mentioned that like for Redbus, print SMS ticket is
yes,
coming up as
cancel ticket
site link.
site link.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess like a lot of people are looking at those particular URLs, and Google finds it useful to serve those URLs.
So here
Uh,
yeah, here means that whatever pages will have the most traffic or most queries, they will rank, no matter what
Not
interlinked I
really.
have.
Not really. It's a combination of all these factors, basically. So we are not just going to ignore your site structure or how you have linked your pages completely. No, we are not going to do that. We are going to, I mean, the algorithms basically look at all these factors combined and determine like what site links to show for a page at what time to what users and things like that. So it's very dynamic in nature, and it may change as well from time to time. Yeah, but having a good site structure can help.
So Arjun asks, nowadays many Twitter snippets appear in Google SERP for brand name. Does Google use Twitter signal in ranking? It's less of Twitter signal in ranking, more like if you find that someone's verified on Twitter and it's the exact same query, and we just find it useful to show their tweets in search, but it's not really a ranking kind of thing. So like if you, I mean, if you link something from your Twitter page to your website or something, that really doesn't matter. But it's just that we find it for particular brand names or particular users, we find it useful to show tweets. Okay. We just have one last question. Sorry guys, we are out of time, so we'll just take this one. I have a question from Avinash. Is there a way I can connect to like discuss some issues one-on-one, or will there be a recorded version of this hangout? There will be a recorded version of this hangout on Google Webmasters YouTube page. Regarding one-on-one, unfortunately, we don't really do that. But you can post questions on forums and communities, maybe plus Syed or me. We can take a look at your question. So Google is showing different description and meta description. How do I fix this? So regarding meta description that you add on your website, Google doesn't necessarily pick and show the exact description that you have. Sometimes we feel like depending upon the query, it can also change. That's one thing. So depending upon what user is searching for, we may probably show a different meta description for that particular URL. And also sometimes if we feel that the description you've given is not high quality or not relevant enough, then we tend to pick from maybe the links pointing to your page, or like the anchor text on links pointing to your page, or maybe the content on your page. So meta description, yeah, what you add as meta description is more of a guideline to Google than a must show. So sometimes we'll pick snippets from your meta description, but sometimes we may not.
So basically, Avinash, Google tries to pick the part of your page or the snippet to show in the search results that can basically tell the user, give an insight into your page to the user on the search results page in relation to their query. So when they have typed in a query, if Google finds there is a snippet which reflects very well to the query's intent, then it may pick that as a snippet. So actually, it's a good thing that Google tries to do. And as long as these snippets are relevant to the queries, I don't think there is a need to worry about this.
Yeah,
So,
Ashish, yes, please.
Sorry, we'll just take one last question. I'm really sorry. I have a question from Cricket Cup. Like, how do I come in Google's quick answer box? Basically, feature snippets, I'm guessing. So the thing is, feature snippets are picked up automatically, and if we think a source is reputed enough, or if we think it's authoritative enough and it answers the question that user asks, we'll generally pick that up. But there's no manual process where you can submit your pages for being shown in feature snippets. It's more of an algorithmic action, and we decide based on authoritativeness and if we think a particular page has a good enough answer. But again, it doesn't mean we're always right. Sometimes we can make mistakes and we may not show the correct answer. But if you have any if you see anything like that, please click on the feedback button there and report it.
Ashish,
Okay.
before you leave, can I ask very
Okay.
small
Go
thing
ahead. Go
about
ahead.
mobile first? Okay, thanks. Ashish, when mobile first index is coming, so everybody is saying hreflang canonical will be mobile pages. In such case, XML sitemap and this kind of things should be in mobile first, then desktop. How will Google recommend for XML sitemap? Because we are not using any XML sitemap for mobile site.
Okay. So
So,
as long as the pages are linked from your desktop to mobile, so like if you have a proper canonical mentioning that this is the desktop page and this is the mobile URL for that particular desktop page, we'll understand and index accordingly. You don't need to change all your sitemaps and anything like that. So it's like, from your perspective, if you want to like be more organized and set everything up properly, maybe you can like go ahead and start creating new sitemaps. But honestly, there's not much to do. Like regarding mobile first indexing, we are hoping that most of it is not really a headache to many webmasters, and it just everything just gets done in the background without any action from your side.
so Neeraj, we are still experimenting with this. First of all, the second thing is our recommendation is not to change the canonical. You can still keep your desktop pages as canonical for now. So that is not something to be worried about, at least as of now, right? And as Ashish mentioned, we are looking at like how we can do this without impacting a lot of webmasters, and so as smooth as possible. So this is still in an experiment phase, and we are seeing how this will work out. So there is nothing really for you to worry about at this point in time.
Okay, so means more to watch than
Yes,
only take.
absolutely. How it develops, and hopefully, I think there'll be not much effect on webmasters. You know.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for attending, guys. If you have any more questions, the recorded version of the session, you can get it on youtube.com/webmasters. You'll find like Google Webmasters is the name of our page.
Great. Thanks for joining. Have a great day.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.